Thursday, August 12, this is the news on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the country remains on track to receive 1.4 million doses of vaccines up to the end of September. A portion of those doses will come from the World Health Organization's COVAX facility and will be distributed through the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO. PAHO's director, Dr. Carissa Etienne, says approximately 40.5 million doses of coronavirus vaccines have been received so far. She gave an update while speaking at a virtual press brief this week. Simone Absalom Gale reports.
PAHO's director, Dr. Carissa Etienne, says that approximately 79% of their procured COVID-19 vaccines are direct bilateral donations, with the remaining 21% being channeled through the World Health Organization's COVID-19 Vaccines Global Access Facility.
Over 8.3 million vaccines that were donated have been shipped and delivered through COVAX, and at least another 2 million are expected in August. PAHO, through its revolving fund, coordinates the delivery, logistics, and the safe arrival of vaccines from the manufacturing sites to the recipient country.
Dr. Etienne informed that approximately 86% of the vaccines were donated by the United States of America, with the remainder coming from several other countries. She says PAHO is now offering a new opportunity to access vaccines.
The revolving fund is now receiving requests for countries in the region for COVID-19 vaccines for the last 3 months of 2021 and for the calendar year 2022. So far, more than 20 countries have formally expressed interest, and the number is growing by the day.
The revolving fund is a mechanism for providing high-quality vaccines at competitive and affordable prices.
It also provides support with planning, cold chain development, syringes, and other supplies.
She says the new initiative will enable PAHO to continue to provide quality support.
This new initiative with the revolving fund will make available tens of millions of COVID-19 vaccine doses beyond the 20% that COVAX offers, and it will complement bilateral deals and other existing avenues for countries to access vaccines. It is an initiative that will benefit every country in the region, but especially those that lack the resources and the negotiating power to secure the doses that they need to protect their people.
PAHO's goal is to procure enough vaccines to reach 80% of the population within the region. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Simone Absalom Gale.
4 drugs have been given the nod for clinical trial as potential treatments for COVID-19 patients. Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, made the announcement during a media briefing on Wednesday.
We already have many tools to prevent, test for, and treat COVID-19, including oxygen, dexamethasone, and IL-6 blockers. But we need more for patients at all ends of the clinical spectrum, from mild to severe disease, and we need health workers that are trained to use them in a safe environment. In October, WHO reported results of the Solidarity trial, which tested 4 treatments for COVID-19, involving almost 13,000 patients in 500 hospitals in 30 countries. That trial showed that the 4 drugs had little or no effect on hospitalized patients with COVID-19. We expect final results from that trial next month.
The Port Authority of Jamaica commissioned its newest ship, the Jamaica 3, into service on Wednesday. The newly built vessel replaces Jamaica 2, which is over 40 years old. It will be used mainly in the maintenance of navigational buoys and beacons in Jamaican ports. Prime Minister Andrew Holness was among the invited guests at the official ceremony.
The Jamaica 3 utility vessel offers versatile, state-of-the-art solutions capable of undertaking a wide range of duties both in and offshore. thanks to its extensive unobstructed deck space and extensive accommodation catering for both crew and work teams. Chairman of the Caribbean Maritime University, Professor Gordon Shirley, says the new ship is a major addition to the existing fleet.
The first of its class to be deployed in the hemisphere. It is a vessel equipped with advanced technologies that provide it with great maneuverability, versatility, power, precision, which allows it to perform a range of activities that will substantially enhance the capabilities of our Harbors Department.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the fleet's addition is part of a greater plan to expand the country's aging infrastructure. He says it took 40 years to place the Jamaica II.
The more critical point is that it has taken us 42 years to replace that asset. There are two considerations there. The first one is that we just did not have the capital budget to do it. But the second consideration is that because we didn't have the capital budget, we were trapped into recurrent expenditure to spend on maintaining that vessel to keep it seaworthy. To the point where we probably, if we had the space, we're spending the resources, so we probably would have spent 2 or 3 times over on that vessel already, but we just didn't have the accumulated capital to make the purchase. And that's a very profound point that we all should consider about what has happened to Jamaica in the last 40 years of our 59 years of independence.
For the news on PBCJ, I'm Simone Absalom Gale.
A recurring problem for successive governments is that of squatting and adequate housing solutions for the populace. The government's ongoing low-cost housing design competition ends on August 31, 2021. The Economic Growth and Job Creation Ministry is reminding the public to get in their applications to meet that deadline. Applications may be done individually or in teams of a maximum of 5 persons via the ministry's website, www.megjc.gov.jm. In a recent JIS interview, Chief Technical Director for Policy, Planning and Evaluation in the ministry, Yannick Watson, said, quote, "This will help the government see how best it can revolutionize the housing sector in Jamaica to create one that is more effective, affordable, broad-based, and can be utilized by many developers and Jamaicans," end quote. The low-cost housing design competition was launched on May 7 by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Motorists will get an ease at the pumps this week with a decrease in both gas and diesel. We get the details in this quick business report. According to the latest ex-refinery costs from state-owned oil refinery Petrojam, effective Thursday, August 12, motorists should see a decrease at the pumps in the prices of gasoline and diesel. 87 and 90-octane gasoline will be sold for $156.44 and $163.20 per liter, following decreases of $1.12 and $1.64 respectively. Automotive diesel fuel will be sold for $144.71 per liter, following a decrease of $3.06, while ultra-low sulfur diesel is down by $3.06 and will be sold for $153.13 per liter. Kerosene had a price drop of $3.06 and will be sold for $122.08 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum decreased in price by 39 cents and will be sold for $68.76 per liter. Butane liquid petroleum will be sold for $76.51 per liter, following a decrease of 45 cents. Be on the lookout for price changes, as marketing companies and retailers will add their markup to these prices. In Wednesday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index declined by 2,256 points to close at over 417,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 89 stocks, of which 30 advanced, 46 declined, and 13 traded firm. The Junior Market Index declined by 44 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for CAC 2000 Limited, Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited, and Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Trading firm were Access Financial Services Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares was the volume leader with over 3.1 million units, followed by JMMB Group Limited with over 2.1 million units and Radio Jamaica Limited with over 2 million units. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, August 11, the US dollar sold for an average $155.78. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $124.42. The pound sterling traded for $214.55, and the euro sold for an average $185.03. In market data for oil, prices steadied on Thursday as the International Energy Agency, IEA, said the spread of the Delta variant of the coronavirus would slow the recovery of global oil demand. The International Energy Watchdog said in its monthly report that rising demand for oil reversed course in July and was set to proceed more slowly for the rest of the year after the latest wave of COVID-19 infections prompted countries to bring in restrictions again. Brent crude futures slid 12 cents to $71.32 a barrel after earlier rising to a session high of $71.90. West Texas Intermediate crude futures edged down 20 cents to $69.05 a barrel. Today we break out to the China and set the table for a blast from the past. We revisit Chill and Grill Jamaica and sample their wide range of delectable dishes in this episode of Culinary Trails.
Chill and Grill came about because my family has a farm, and throughout all the years, the meat price of pig was on a steady price despite the cost of feeds and the different inputs going up. So out of doing playing dominoes and doing a little, you just throw on a grill for your friends, that was where Chill and Grill started actually 3 years ago, where we use locally grown meat, because sometimes I don't have enough on my farm, so I have to buy from Copperwood or buy elsewhere. But we use locally grown meats, and then we season. Part of our secret is that Chef and I, we season at least 5 days in advance. So it gives the meat time to marinate. And then, as you know, crispy pork, which is one of our specialties, is, oh Lord, how do you describe it apart from divine? But when you're a pork lover, crispy pork is the best way to have pork, because it's like pork served with love. That is the La Caja China box. That is the secret to the crispy pork. That is the secret to the crunchy, crackling pork skin that everyone loves. It actually was invented in Cuba, in Chinatown in Cuba, mimicking how they cook pork, like bury it in the ground and put the coal on top. So the pork sits in the bottom, and then you slow cook it. So you get this moist, well-cooked pulled pork effect. Awesome, awesome, awesome. In fact, some people call it the magic of the box, because it's magical. 1 week, a customer said, I don't eat pork, can you do salmon? And we did grill salmon, and the gentleman's report, when he left here, he sent a picture. By the time he was at Manningsville Road, it was finished. So we are versatile. So we will cook what you want. But we do have steamed fish, we do have roast fish, and we do have jerk chicken like you have never had it before. Because the box, again, there's magic in the box. Always We have barbecue pigtail, which is a Jamaican favorite. We have steam and roast fish. We have jerk chicken. We have chef's specialty is barbecue honey glazed ribs. Now I promise you, come and taste the ribs. It will be like no other. Seasoned with love and cooked and served with passion. We use all natural products, and so it will be natural for us to do natural juices. I have a young man who is a friend of my son who makes natural juices.
Hi, I'm Nigel Brady. I am the founder of Nature's Sip, and what we offer is a myriad of flavors of 100% natural beverages, right? All homegrown produce, and you have the choice of sweetened or unsweetened. Most customers tend to prefer the unsweetened because you actually feel the wellness in it at the first sip. So initially, that's the sip of change that we intend to offer or already offering to the diets of Jamaicans.
So we are a family setting, although we can't have the gathering now because of Corona. But if you want to go someplace where you're comfortable and feel mamas love them, Chill and Grill is the place for you. What we have done because of COVID, everything has been converted to grab and go. So we invested in a warmer where we can keep the food warm, and then we schedule pickups. So if you don't want to come out of your car, you can tell us what time you're coming and we'll meet you at the gate and deliver it. Or if you want it delivered at a small cost, we'll send it to you. If you are having a private gathering and you just want awesome grilled foods, or matter of fact, awesome any foods, you can call us and we will package it and deliver it for you. Because the idea is we grill and you chill. So you just bring the orders to us and we will deliver it to you wherever you are. So you have fun and stay safe in your neck of the woods. We now cook on every last Saturday, but food is ready from 9 in the morning. So we cater to the man who want to go bird bush or want to go beach. Him can come early, pick up him crispy pork and head to the hills. Why Chill and Grill? If you want succulent pork, if you want pork that you will lick your fingers, if you think Kentucky is finger licking, come to Chill and Grill. I promise you, you're gonna get food with love. Food served with love and with passion.
Time now for regional news. Trinidad and Tobago has confirmed its first 2 cases of the COVID-19 Delta variant. A media release from the Ministry of Health stated that both patients are unvaccinated. TTT Live reports that the first patient is a recently repatriated national from the United States. The second patient is another national who recently returned to Trinidad from Mexico, transiting through Panama and Guyana. As part of the existing quarantine protocols, the nationals provided negative PCR tests, which were taken 72 hours prior to arrival. The nationals were immediately placed into state-supervised quarantine as per the protocol for unvaccinated adults. As a result of the positive COVID-19 results from their 7th-day swab, the persons were subsequently transferred and isolated in a state step-down facility. As more news emerges globally about the Delta variant of the coronavirus, residents of St. Kitts and Nevis have expressed concern. In this SKN Newsline report, Andre Huey takes a look at the recent statement from the Twin Islands Health Minister.
With the Delta variant of the coronavirus spreading rapidly across the world, healthcare systems in the affected countries are being overwhelmed. There are concerns the Delta variant could find its way to our shores here in St. Kitts and Nevis, a possibility Tourism Minister Lindsey Grant hinted to last week at a press conference.
The Delta variant, as it is right now, is the main reason for the increase in the COVID-19 cases in the United States, in Florida in particular. Just last week, had over 23,000 persons testing positive. I have been advised that this variant has a higher transmission rate and the impact greater on one's health.
Despite some 60% of the target population in St. Kitts and Nevis fully vaccinated, there is still much vaccine hesitancy in the country. Some are suggesting there is no need to take the vaccine, even with the threat of the more transmissible Delta variant.
Best solution, we went through a whole year, Mr. Huey, without any vaccine. We had 40-something people in the country who had the COVID and recovered. Nobody interviewed these people up to now to find out exactly what happened to them and how did they recover. Okay? Most of us, we wear a mask, sanitize our hand, and if you're saying eventually it'll go away, well, okay, then I could continue wearing my mask, I could continue sanitizing my hand.
But Dr. Cuthbert Sebastian, vaccination is the best way to protect against the virus, which proves also to be effective against the Delta variant.
Over 99% of people who are vaccinated are doing well, meaning that the vaccine is working based on the statistics, and nearly half of the U.S. population is vaccinated. So that tells me that it's working. And yes, we've seen some hospitalizations of vaccinated individuals, but it's so small compared to the unvaccinated. I have colleagues who are working in the ICU in the U.S. who tell me that they see most of the cases are unvaccinated individuals. Sadly, by that time, there's not many things that they can do. So it's honestly better to have that, take all precaution as possible, because you don't want to be in that statistic where you end up really sick with COVID-19 and you're in that situation and we're stuck between a rock and a hard place and we can't do anything for you at that point.
Dr. Sebastian painted a grim picture of how serious the Delta variant is.
Currently, there's a huge surge in every country that has the Delta variant. You look at the Tortola, the BVI, for example, they're having massive problems. The healthcare system is getting overwhelmed because of that. And when the healthcare system is overwhelmed with one particular thing, all the other things start to suffer. Whether it's like the chronic illnesses, for example, some surgeries may not be able to happen, especially if people are sick with COVID-19. And you know, the Delta variant is a lot more contagious than the other strains. I believe it's 9 times more contagious. And that's because it mutated from the original strain, where it actually latches on to the cell a lot better, and it actually reproduces more of itself than the original one. So that's why it's more contagious.
The Delta variant is quickly becoming the dominant variant worldwide, including in some countries that had avoided surges earlier in the pandemic. Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
Nearly 3 years after the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, ruled that Guyana's laws against cross-dressing violated the rights of people, the criminal offense of cross-dressing was formally removed from Summary Jurisdiction Offences Act early Tuesday morning.
In 2009, it was reported that several transgender women were arrested and convicted under the 1893 Summary Jurisdiction Offences Act of the offense of being a man appearing in female attire in public for an improper purpose. They spent 3 nights in police detention in Georgetown for their arrest for the minor crime. This was later challenged in the courts, eventually making its way to the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, where it was ruled that the section of Guyana's law which prohibits cross-dressing be struck out, since it serves no legal or social purpose and inhibits the right to freedom of expression. That law was the Summary Jurisdiction Offences Act. On Tuesday, just after midnight, members of Parliament debated a bill that was presented to the National Assembly to formally remove the section of the Act which makes it a criminal offence to cross-dress in public. The Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Anil Nandalal, who piloted this bill, reminded those in the National Assembly that the government was seeking to amend the Act and comply with its constitutional role as the legislature.
We have a duty not only to enact new laws or to amend existing laws, but to remove from our legislative architecture those provisions that may have been pronounced to be repugnant and repulsive to our Constitution. And we are simply delivering on that, discharging that responsibility.
One Pan-Africanist in St. Kitts and Nevis is increasing calls for the decolonization of the Twin Islands. Andre Huey tells us more.
Efforts should be made to reclaim our heritage, even if it means renaming some streets and locations in St. Kitts and Nevis. That's the view of local Pan-Africanist Greg Herbert. Mr. Herbert, speaking to SK Newsline, suggested that some streets and areas named after colonialists or persons who benefited from the slave trade should be renamed and replaced with names of noted local and African figures.
We need to start a process of decolonizing this space. Some of these place names, the street names and whatnot, should be named after people that are significant to our country. For instance, something like Port Zante, or main port of entry for tourism and all sorts of other things, is named after a place in Greece that has no significance to St. Kitts or Nevis. In my opinion, that should have never been named, and it can still be renamed. So I want to encourage the government to rename that. I suggest Port Tegraman. You have a situation where you have the Berkeley Memorial. Now, if you want to rename it, it's fine. It has become a landmark, and I think it's ironic and somehow fitting that the descendants of the people that these people enslaved are now using these people's creations to benefit from for themselves. So it's ironic. In terms of removing monuments, I don't have an issue with it. For instance, you have a monument at Baker's Corner, the Queen Victoria statue. I don't know if you call it a statue, but in the roundabout, it's in bad shape now. But in my opinion, something else should be placed there. It is time for us to make up our minds to put our stories on display.
Social and racial injustice protests in the US and the UK last year were marked by protesters violently removing monuments dedicated to the memory of persons deemed racists or whom would have benefited from the transatlantic slave trade. Meanwhile, Mr. Herbert is calling for a more consistent and measured approach to preserving African cultural heritage, and not only on holidays.
Removing monuments is one thing, but we need to also build our own in place or in new areas. That is my opinion. The Black Lives Matter movement and whatnot, and people here when solidarity, those things are trendy at the time, you know. It's trendy at the time because you want to jump on somebody else's situation, even though as a Pan-Africanist, all black people issues are my issues. But we have real work to do here. It don't just stop when the protests in the state stop. This is a constant state of the colonization of our minds and our spaces.
Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
And in sports, Jamaica's top junior athletes left the island today, Thursday, August 12, to compete for top honors at the World Athletics Under-20 Championships to be held in Nairobi, August 17 to 22. Up to 1,300 competitors from 128 countries are expected to compete in the championships. All the necessary COVID-19 measures, as guided by the World Athletics, are reportedly in place. The measures include 10 hotel bubbles for teams, officials, and suppliers. In the weather report, the Meteorological Service of Jamaica is forecasting periods of showers and thunderstorms in the coming days. This will start affecting sections of central and eastern parishes Thursday night before extending to the remainder of the island on Friday. The weather is being affected by Tropical Depression Fred, which at news time was moving towards the west-northwest near 26 kilometers per hour. This motion with a decrease in forward speed is expected during the next couple of days, followed by a turn to the northwest. On the forecast track, Fred is expected to move across the southeastern Bahamas today, move along or just north of eastern and central Cuba later today and Friday, and be near the Florida Keys and South Florida on Saturday. And that's your package. Thanks as always for making it PBCJ, the People's Station.